you touched on this. What would be some of the motives of human assets that are cooperating with you, knowing that, if you get caught, you're going to get
So
killed?
we're looking for, unlike law enforcement,
Hmm.
generally,
Yeah.
we're not looking for snitches or informants. We're looking to recruit somebody and run them for the next 25 years inside an organization. So for us, our alpha and omega is to recruit and protect sources so that they can provide us with intelligence to protect our country and our people. So we don't burn them in court. And to do this, I got to make this very clear, we don't we don't engage in blackmail, because if you blackmail a source into working for you, yeah, maybe he'll like get you a piece of paper, but he's going to, can you really trust him if he's not really voluntarily doing this? Do you really want that guy standing behind you with like looking to put a shiv into your ribs whenever he can, right, to get out of this? We're looking for people who want to do this. And let me give you an example because it's easy to wrap your mind around it.
Hmm.
I'm I meet a guy from a radical Islamic regime whose their whole raison d'etre is to kill Americans, kill Jews, kill Israelis, destroy Israel, destroy the United States. This is what this country, there's a number of them, but he's one of them. You can imagine his country was all about radical theology and anti-Americanism and against the West, what we stand for. And we meet at a number of diplomatic functions because we all get invited to the same, the country we're in, we all got invited to the same diplomatic functions. And he speaks German and so do I, so we're able to talk without other people understanding. And there's just a sparkle is in his eye, and as he calls me like, a terrible infidel going to hell, but he's just smiling about it. And it was, I don't know, I've been married for 40 years, but back when I was dating, you meet somebody and you just sense like, oh, there's a thing, a vibe, right? And so eventually I get him out to lunch, and I engineered it an accidental. We bumped into each other when there was nobody around, but the bump was not accidental. Again, this was a small conspiracy. I knew where he was going to be at a certain time, and oh, fancy that you're here. Let's have lunch. Like no one's going to see we're having lunch. He's like, okay. So we sit down, and like I decide I'm going to fuck with him. And the waiter comes over, and I said, I'll have a beer and a bacon sandwich, right? How do you like them apples? And he just smiles, and it's turn to order, and he says, "All the same." I'm like, whoa. So he says, Jerry, things aren't always as they seem. So moving forward, weeks later, he and I are driving, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and we're driving through this sort of wilderness road, and we're having a really deep conversation. And he says, basically, there is something in his soul that he can't tell anybody about. Anybody. And it is just eating at him like a cancer. And in his society, he's not even allowed to have these trees in his thoughts. And he turns to me and he says, do you think there's a God? And this is like, I'm not trying to fuck with a guy. I'm like, you know what? I really don't think there's a God, but I'm not sure. I'm not buying the straight Christian thing, right? But I studied Sikhism and Hinduism, and I'd studied Islam, and I'm not sure I buy any of them. And he says, I've given this a lot of thought. I don't think there is one. And so you have to imagine this guy gets up every morning at 4 a.m. and kneels next to his wife, whom he loves with his whole heart, and they pray. And he looks at her and he thinks, is she faking it just like I am? And he says, but if I share this with her, that makes me a traitor to my government. This makes me go like, I'm going to hell. Does she report me? Does this destroy my marriage? I can't tell her. Then he goes to work, and they all line up at work in the embassy and they pray. And he's got really good friends, and he looks at them and go, are they fucking faking it too?
Mm.
Right? And he can't tell anybody. And he is desperate. And he finally says, you know what? I love my country. I hate my government. It's like what we do is, we kill people, we hurt people, we're racist, we are intolerant. He says, I actually like what you've got. I would like to see us be a representative democracy. I would like to be able to vote. I would like to be able to say what I think without like having like to worry about that I'm committing treason or I'm going to hell or I'm going to jail or that they're going to go after my family. And he's like, I'm like, well, what are you going to do about it? And he says, well, what are my options? Okay, let's talk.
Mm.